What if one simple question could change the way you lead, respond under pressure, and navigate difficult seasons in life? Well, today's guest shares how learning to ask better questions through QBQ transformed the way she works, leads, and shows up for others. Welcome back to the QBQ Podcast, where we talk about personal accountability at work, at home, and everywhere in between. Today I'm joined by Laura Train, founder of Integrity Training Solutions and a longtime QBQ practitioner and distributor. Laura first discovered QBQ while working at the Social Security Administration, and in this episode she shares how those simple principles reshaped the way she leads, teaches, and navigates life, including a season of caring for her mother. I think you'll enjoy hearing how personal accountability shows up both in the workplace and in everyday life. Here's my conversation with Laura. Welcome back to the QBQ Podcast, where we talk about personal accountability. Today I'm joined by someone who has a long history with QBQ and a passion for helping others live it out. Laura Train is founder and CEO of Integrity Training Solutions, and she's a longtime user and distributor of the QBQ training program, which is something that we have, a tool that we have in-house that people can license and use with their own clients out in the workplace. So Laura first discovered QBQ while working at Social Security Administration. So I'm going to let her kind of share how that has shaped her life, her leadership ever since. So welcome, Laura. Thanks for being here with me.
Thank you for the introduction. I like to say I love QBQ.
We know you do. We love it.
I took a class from a gentleman named Phil Minetti. He is one of the best facilitators I've ever seen, and it was QBQ. And I think what I realized is, and I know it sounds silly, I say it changed my life or whatever, but it was the simplicity of it, that I could take the concepts and immediately apply them. And I use that when I train other people, because that's what's key to this, is it's simple, you can apply it and you can see immediate results. And I think what's really different about QBQ is you don't just see them at work. I mean, we teach at work, but work, home, and in the community. So it pretty much encompasses everyone. I always loved leadership and development training. I loved it. And so when I opened my own career, I knew that QBQ fit right into it. QBQ is actually one of the cornerstones of all of my training programs. It's the first thing we do, and it's the last thing we talk about.
I absolutely love that. You were an employee with the Social Security Administration, correct?
Correct. For 25 years.
So tell me about that.
So Phil came in and he was hired to do the class. So the first time I took it, I was a student, and he was training as many people as he could in the Office of Systems. They change names all the time, but in the Office of Systems. So he came in and we took the class, and what I liked that he did that was different from other people that I carried on was that he would teach us the concepts, and then we would go out in the real world and use them, and then come back and talk about how did what we put into practice work for us. And I really found for me, taking it from being a student, I had more intention with my thought. I had more thinking about what was I going to say? How was I going to react? What was I going to do? So I kind of kept that in the front of my mind. And then I just loved the course so much that I knew that when COVID-19 started and I was starting my own business, Phil reached out to me. And his partner didn't want to do the online training. They weren't interested in that. And he asked if I'd ever done it before. And I had. So I said, sure. So he initially hired me to do just technical assistance. And within the first hour, I was training and learning all about QBQ from the facilitator's point of view. We trained together for many years. And then I went out on my own, and I'm still use it to this day as a cornerstone, as a big part of the program.
Phil has such a special place in my heart. He was one of our key distributors for so long, such a fan and a proponent of our program. You must have connected early on as one of his students.
There was something about the way that he did training that I said, if I ever had my own company one day, that's how I want to do the training.
Okay.
And I kind of put that
him connecting
something about him connecting the stories, the realistic way to put things in practice. One of the things about QBQ, it's not a coffee table book. You got a lot of training, and those books just end up with dust, and they sit around, and you went there and it was exciting while you were there, but class is over and that's it. And what I loved about QBQ is that not only did I learn it from Phil years ago, but that it was something I knew I wanted to train early on.
Hmm.
So the interesting part is when I retired from Social Security after 25 years, he's the single person I called. We'd
Wow.
kind of kept in touch over the years, and it just snowballed from there. All of a sudden, he had an opening and just happened to call me, and we just
Fantastic.
clicked, and we were such a great team. It
That's
was a lot of
fantastic.
fun, a lot of
That's
fun.
incredible. Was that scary for you to jump from government work to entrepreneurial work? That's a big difference.
Yeah, I think what happened with me is I was serving in some senior executive positions, and they gave me two at the same time.
Hmm.
And it was a lot. It was probably a little too much because I'm one of those who all work, night and day, but night and day for two positions was a lot for me. And I
Hmm.
wanted something different. And I knew that I loved leadership and development training because I did it throughout my whole career. I didn't care if I was a manager, leader, senior exec. I always did training for students or employees. So it's something that I just loved so much. I thought, wow, what if I can do this out on my own and I can focus on that rather than focus on the other things I was doing.
So it wasn't too much of a leap for you. And with a mentor like Phil, it was a good bridge.
Right.
Yes, so that was
If it
definitely
wasn't for
great.
Phil, we may be
Yeah.
having a different conversation.
Yes. Maybe it would have been a little bit more terrifying for
A
you.
little bit more terrifying. Yes, but he's so amazing. And he just brought me in under his wing. And from the first day, we just started training together. There was no practice. We just started doing it. And
Sure.
because I'd already used the concepts and I knew about QBQ, it made it a whole lot easier to turn into a facilitator and distributor.
Yeah. If you were to explain QBQ to someone brand new, what is your simplest, most compelling explanation of the tool itself?
Yeah. When I think about QBQ, I think there are three things that I keep in the front of my mind. First of all, the concepts are easy to understand. There is nothing about QBQ that's really hard or difficult, or you have to study like you might have to do for chemistry or physics. And you can put them in place at the end of the very first class. And that's one of the things that I say at the beginning of every class is I say, I'm going to teach you something today. And by the end of the day, you're going to be able to use it. And everybody's like, yeah, right. But by the end of the day, they're already thinking of ways to implement it, which is so great. And then it works just as well for adults as it does children. And I think that's really key because when people go to class and they go to lots of classes and they're boring or exciting and they may not remember everything, but if you make it personal, and QBQ is personal, obviously, personal accountability. They understand that and they can grip onto that. So I think those are the three things. Easy to understand, you can put it in place, and it works for both adults and children.
I agree with all of those things. Is absolutely the truth. And I tell people the same thing when I'm out teaching that the beauty of QBQ is you will be, whether you want to or not, you will be applying this as you walk out of the
Yes.
classroom because it just so naturally starts coming out of your mouth. Whether you sat with your arms crossed through the whole thing or not, you will start seeing how this applies. Now, moving forward, you have to choose whether or not you're actually going
Ah,
to use it in life,
that's the key.
but it is so easy to see how it applies and how simple it is to use.
And
It's
Kristen,
it's
it's
hard not
easy to
to
see how
notice.
other people are applying it. I have a great example
Mm-hmm.
is I trained a whole organization, and they had come back for some other training, and they said they were in a meeting one day, and there were four of them, and they'd all taken the class, and something came up that was really difficult to talk about. And they all just looked around and they were taking breaths and they all started to laugh because they realized that they were trying to respond and not react.
Yes,
And they all said, this was QB, we just QBQ'd this meeting.
every single
And
one of them.
it was a great story. I loved it so much. It's like
That's
that's
fantastic.
when you know it's integrating.
Yeah, yeah. When you look around and every single person is taking a deep breath and
Yeah,
pausing, trying to make that better choice in the moment, formulate a better question that begins with what or how, contains an I, focuses on action.
exactly. They could
Oh,
see what each other was doing. And it just
that's
broke the
fantastic.
tension too.
Yeah,
Because they
yeah,
talked about it and they're like, yeah, well, why don't we do it this way? Okay. And it was more camaraderie instead of being against each other or
right,
frustrated.
right.
Yeah.
Looking back, like, how do you think your life would have been different if you had never met Phil Minetti, if you hadn't encountered QBQ,
Mm.
if you hadn't gone through those classes with him? What do you think would have been different?
So I hate to say this is an easy one,
Mm.
but I was a type A micromanagers, managers manager. Everyone who knew me, I was highly stressed. I did not wait for things to get back. So I'd contact and go, do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? It's not even due for 2 weeks. So I was so scared about us not getting things done. And people who know me before and after, they'll tell you they recognize the difference in me, because what I did is I started to pull back and started to let other people do their jobs,
Wow.
right? I really went from being that stressed out person to just take a breath. Take a breath. Things are going to work out. You can't procrastinate. You can't blame others. You can't make excuses, but you also have to take a breath and let your employees do the work. And I
That's
think
amazing.
that's the biggest change for me.
What a testimony that QBQ taught you how to say, how can I let go
Oh,
and let others either rise or fall? You have to let others succeed or fail
yeah.
on
Yep.
their own. And then coach them through it and be there to support them. I mean, that's parenting too. That's not just managing. That's also
Of course.
parenting, right? And I know you've parented, so you get that. But that's a fabulous testimony for how QBQ really came in and helped you at a crucial moment in your
And I
career.
can tell you an example, give
Go
you a
for it, please.
perfect example.
Yeah.
So I was speaking to the Office of Systems. It was a Zoom meeting.
Mm.
And actually it was in Teams. I apologize. It was in Teams. And I'm not the best in Teams. I prefer Zoom. It's just what I use.
Yeah.
And nothing was working. The PowerPoint wasn't working. There were 400 people on the call.
Oh.
And the PowerPoint wasn't working. We couldn't get anything to work. And since I had worked there, they knew me. They were trying to help me. And finally I said, forget the PowerPoint. I'll just do it. I can do my presentation.
Yeah.
So I did the presentation. And that night I got a call from one of my old bosses. And she seriously was this, are you okay? Are you sure? What's going on? How do you feel? And I said, what are you talking about? She goes, oh, I know you. I know that when that didn't go well, you stressed out and you were probably crying and nobody knew about it. I said, oh no, Diana, I'm not like that anymore. I take a
Wow.
breath and I think about with intention what I'm going to do as next steps. And
Wow.
I said, I don't need the PowerPoint. And I just went on from there.
Wow.
In the past, I would have been crying in a corner.
Yeah. Big difference. That's incredible. Let's talk a little bit about your personal life. You've shared with me how QBQ really helped you in your personal life with caregiving with your mom. You've mentioned parenting. How did QBQ then come home with you?
A couple of years ago, and by the way, it's really great to have a QBQ buddy, a friend or a spouse or someone who can watch you as you're putting it into practice. So that's something I highly recommend. My mom is the type, and she's an amazing woman, but she likes to tell you to do things so quickly that you haven't even gotten like the chance to do them yourselves. So you're on to the next thing, and that can cause a great frustration. And so what I did is I went home, and instead of letting her tell me what's next, I took a breath and I said, how can I help you? What can I do to make this easier for you? So instead of putting all the pressure on her to have to think of everything, then, what's next, I was able to pull her back from that. And she realized I was trying to help her, because it's like, what can I do to help you? And our relationship changed. Our relationship, and to this day, is better. And I still use it almost every day with her, is that I definitely don't react. I try to respond. And it has really improved the relationship. And now that I'm her caretaker, it takes it to the next level, because I'm having to do things with her every single day. And I can't be out there reacting and getting frustrated. And that would be a very terrible relationship, especially now.
That relationship as parents age and as we age and that next stage, how would you encourage others in your same season as they deal with parents?
I think you have to look, first of all, someone told me something once that I thought was great. So it's the parent's first time to parent also. So I thought that was interesting, because we always think they know everything.
We don't.
And I think part of it is that pause, that taking the moment before you react, because reacting can cause fighting and stress. And I think taking that pause is really good, and not making excuses. Because excuses, especially as you get older, your parent wants to see you, an excuse why you don't go down there. or wherever they live. So I think making those excuses and then blaming really comes out with parents, because if something didn't happen right in your childhood or something, you blame them for not having done right by you. But a lot of times it's something that you personally probably did yourself, and it's really personal accountability. So I think it's taking and really embracing that personal accountability that helps as you're dealing with aging parents or even people your own age.
In QBQ, we talk about making that better choice in the moment. And in order to do that, we have to pause and make some better choices in the moment. And so often those choices are to reflect, to think, to put ourselves in other people's shoes, to really pay attention to, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling right now? So much of that is just pausing and
Yeah.
and reflecting and taking that time. So thank you for sharing that. So how has work been for you? Because I know most of your work is with government. You don't work for the government anymore, but your client has
So
been
my
the government.
clients,
So the government
99.
is not doing much training right now.
I've been able to, right now, I'm really switching over and helping my mom and taking care of my mom.
Okay.
So it's kind of a blessing. Sometimes things happen that we don't expect,
Yeah.
because I'm with her every day. And so once the training starts to come back, I'm going to have to, instead of the other way, I'm going to have to figure out how to get that back into my schedule. Of
You're gonna
course, I'll
need
be
some
very
QBQ.
happy to do it.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But right now I'm focusing on my mom.
So tell me, what kinds of QBQs have you had to ask yourself as work kind of went away and you had to switch and focus on something different for the season? And can you anticipate any QBQs you'll have to ask as work slowly comes back and you have to reprioritize?
What can I do to get back in the swing of things, right? Going from parenting, I guess caretaking,
Yeah.
parenting,
Reverse parenting.
slip. Yeah. To going back to doing it full time. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's going to be the key. And what can I do to make it even better?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So here was how I taught it before. What have I learned? Because I've learned so much in the last year. What have I learned that I can incorporate into, whether it's stories or something like that? How can I make it even better, be a better facilitator than was before? And what can I do to continue to help support my mom and also do the training? And I think that's going to be some of the personal questions that I'm going to be answering when I do go back to work.
That's what this tool helps us do, is it helps us navigate the unexpected, the changes, the transitions, the relationships, all of it. And I've just watched you do that so well. It's so fantastic to see someone so wholeheartedly take this tool and just run with it. So good job, Laura. Way to go.
Well, y'all made it very easy.
Oh, well. I mean, my dad created it. All I've done is continue to teach it. So yes, it's such a blessing to be able to do this as a job. I love it. Is there a memorable client or team transformation story that stands out to you, or you really saw the light bulb come on for someone as you were teaching them QBQ?
Two of them, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
One is more of a person's kind of personal in the world, and then one is a work one.
Okay.
I think the first work one I can remember is there was someone in my class who was very frustrated because she couldn't get promoted. And she was saying they're bad managers and they're not da, 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 da. And I said, whoa, let's take a moment, take a breath. Let's pause and think about this. You own your own career. You own it. So what I said is why don't you create your own little leadership program where you go on little details and you go interview people where you might be interested in working and see if you can set up some lunches, do little shadow assignments. So she came up with this whole little plan. And about a year and a half later, she called me. She said, QBQ helped me get promoted.
That's
I got it.
awesome.
Yeah. So, and that's
Wow.
that was one of my favorite work stories. And there's more than one of those, is that, wow, they took the concepts and they really put them into practice. And now that the feeling, that dopamine hit you get from getting the promotion, they also now include that for their QBQ, right? It leads into that feeling. The second one is a one where a gentleman, his son was in college. And so once a month, he would pick up his son and bring him home to the other kids, and they'd have lunch. But the problem was every time the son got in the car, it was like, Dad, I want to change majors. I want to change, to a different school. I want to do da 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 da. And they would fight the whole way home. And because the dad's thinking, oh, this is going to cost me forever. I'm never going to get this kid off my payroll. What is he going to do with his life? Sure enough, he took the class. And I always tell people to go practice before you come back. So the child gets in the car, and just like always, what happened? He starts saying, da, 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 I want to do this. I don't want to do this major anymore. What can we do? And his dad took a huge breath and he looked at his son and said, what can I do to make your dreams come true?
Oh.
And the son's like, what? And they talked about it on the way home. And he really thought about being intentional with the QBQ the whole afternoon. And time to take the son back, the kids came in and said, is it okay if he stays for dinner? Dad, we can't remember a weekend where you were so calm and so part of what we were doing, as opposed to, being frustrated that we weren't doing something right. And it was a really nice afternoon.
Oh,
And I
that's so
thought,
sweet.
wow, he just changed his life with those kids.
Yeah. Yep.
By taking a breath.
By choosing to be present. That's
How
fantastic.
great is that?
Great examples. Thank you for that.
Yes. Yeah.
So what excites you most about QBQ?
I think in the workplace, one of the things that really excites me is it helps employees get work done more timely and more accurately. I mean, one of the big things is procrastination. Well, people procrastinate a lot at work because they are scared or they don't want to get the work done. But I think that QBQ really helps people do work more timely and be more thoughtful about the work it is that they're going to do, doing it with intention, whether it's breaking into small pieces or whatever you do to improve the procrastination piece. So I think that whenever you can get work done timely, because the government moves very fast. And you don't want to get run over, I guess. So you want to go ahead and get things done timely and accurate. I think those are things that QBQ really puts into the workplace and that I've seen has really helped people along the way.
It helps prioritize too.
Absolutely.
What can I get done today? What do I need to do right now? How can I categorize what's urgent, important, what's just important? What do I need to get done today? I think that is really helpful. As someone who struggles to I was just telling my husband this yesterday. He said, what are you going to focus on this morning? And I was like, I don't know, babe. Everything to me is urgent. Everything's urgent all the time. This is why, there are 19 different little projects started constantly around our house because to me, everything's urgent. And he just laughs at me because he knows that that's how my brain works. And he has to come in and kind of be like, okay, focus with me here. Here are the 3 urgent, important things that you need to actually focus on and finish. And I'm like, okay, all right, thank you. Because otherwise, everything is started and nothing is complete. So I think you're right that QBQ really can help with that.
He QBQ'd you.
People. He did.
That's
he
what
really did. He's like,
I've turned it into a verb.
How can I help you? How can I help you figure out what is urgent, important, not just start everything and finish nothing? So yes, it is a really helpful tool in that manner.
And usually the non-urgent, non-important are the things we really want to do.
Oh, exactly. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to sit and sort photos with my daughter because that sounded fun, but that was not as important as meal planning, which I hate doing. I don't want to do that, but there was no food in our house, so.
Yeah, you got those kids. You have to do some of it.
I know. You got to feed the people. Otherwise, you just keep ordering in pizza, and that's not good for the budget or the belly.
Budget and belly. I'm going to use that one.
On that note, what helps you stay accountable to keep practicing QBQ when life gets busy and crazy?
Well, I think for me, I think out of the 3 traps, mine is excuses.
Yeah.
And so when I start making excuses, and what I think the big thing is that I recognize it now. I've trained my brain to recognize when I'm in one of the traps. And then I'm able to take that step back and really think about, okay, what can I do? How can I not make that excuse? Going back to the procrastination, if it's something I need to get done. And so I think that's, for me, that's the big one.
Staying accountable to noticing. Noticing is the first step. Being aware of the lousy ways of thinking, the habitual ways of getting stuck in a rut of excuses or complaining or negativity or procrastination. I think that is that first step. So staying accountable to myself to be aware of that, to stop, to pause, and to continually train myself to think differently. That's really important.
And it's interesting because I think you and your dad are just so amazing at this, is y'all even realize you're not perfect.
No, not at
Right.
all. I
You have
complain
to
all the
also
time.
use these tools.
Yeah, it is so important to realize that we're all going to make mistakes. I teach this stuff. I was just in Florida speaking 3 back-to-back morning sessions at
Oh my
Tropicana.
gosh.
Yeah, well, it was 3 different days, so it was actually really nice. I would do a morning session, and then I'd have the whole afternoon. I mean, I worked too, but I was teaching QBQ to the packing and shipping departments at Tropicana. So all the
Oh,
men
wow.
and women, all the men and women who pack and ship the juice that is then shipped across the country, and teaching them QBQ and being able to say to them, hey, I've been teaching this for 18 years and I've known this material since my dad created it when I was a kid. And there are still days where I play the victim and I want to blame and I make excuses and I procrastinate all the time. It's so important to realize that we're still going to fall into these traps. It's not that we're never going to stop. It's just that the more we practice QBQ, the faster we are able to get out of it and pause and say, oh, there I go again. All right, back on track. What can I do to move forward? How can I take action? What can I do to add value?
That self-awareness.
Yeah, it's just growth. That's what it is. It's growing up. It's maturing. It's doing better than I did yesterday and knowing that I'll slip up again, but it's being aware of that and being okay with it. If someone listening today is brand new to QBQ, maybe they've never read the book or been through the training, how would you explain it in your own words? They have no understanding whatsoever. They literally just stumbled across this podcast somehow.
I think I would ask them a question. I think I'd say, do you ever feel like you're playing the victim and always poor me? It's always someone else is doing it to me. If you're ever blaming others where you find like it's always the boss's fault, it was always the other component's fault, but never your fault. And I say, that's what QBQ is going to help you eliminate. Those things. That's how I do it. I think I'd turn it around with those.
It'd take a pretty not humble person to say, no, I never struggle in any of those areas.
I've never had anybody say it.
Well, thank you for being such a passionate champion for QBQ. It has been so fun to watch you start hearing your name and then see you. I remember when Phil was like, so I have this gal who's helping with the tech side of figuring out the virtual QBQ training, because it was during COVID that he was like, how do I keep doing my business? I have to do this online. And I was like, Phil, I don't know. We're trying to stay alive over here too. So it was pretty fun watching him figure that out and then meeting you, and you just tackled it and figured it out. Such a great use of QBQ. What can I do to adapt?
Right.
How can I figure this out? So yeah.
I think COVID, there was a lot of QBQ being used.
Yeah, absolutely. And the people who didn't survive it. So.
And I want to thank you and your father. Y'all have been such mentors to me and really helped me grow as a person. And I do appreciate that so much.
Oh, well, we're just so glad you found the material and you chose to use it. And it has made such a difference for you. That just means the world to us, to know that it's making a difference. Friends of the QBQ podcast, if you'd like to get in touch with Laura and find out more about her work, then please do. Her information will be listed in the show notes. As always, thanks for listening to the QBQ podcast, and share with your friends. Remember, personal accountability is just that. It's personal. Have a good week. Thanks for listening today to the QBQ podcast. If today's conversation encouraged you, share this episode with a friend or a colleague who could benefit from learning to ask better questions. And remember, personal accountability is just that. It's personal.